Hello, I'm Forest Focus, and Nottingham Forest are in slots head again after putting in one of the great Reds performances, winning 3-0 at Anfield. I can't believe how good it was, to be honest. It could have won by even more. Andy Madley, all is not forgiven after that first half decision. And it's been a bit of a hectic start to this podcast with a few tech issues, but pleased to say. First of all, Dan is with us. Dan, how are you doing?
Yeah, obviously buzzing after the disappointment on Thursday night to follow it up with a game like that. Obviously, Forest did the business, and like we were saying before we came on, it's hard to describe what we've sort of seen really in terms of the result and the way we took our chances and just took the game to them. So yeah, unbelievable.
I know. We'll do our best to put it into words. It is a tricky one. Now, football careers, I think, are built for professional players, are built on hard work and the right to earn a celebration. And sometimes it's the same with podcasts. You go through some really horrible post-match shows, talk us all down from a ledge, and then you get to enjoy it. Lewis McGugan, how are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you, and good to be back. And yeah, what a time to be come back on. So really excited to get into the show.
I know you've had some tough ones, so I hope you revel in this as much as all of us. Dan, kick us off then. Just some general words about what you made of it.
It was just a far more open game and kind of fun game to watch than I expected. I suppose when you think about what we did there last season with the 1-0, it was very much a kind of a sit back and try and soak up everything that they threw at us and just take our one chance really. But today, even early on, we were pressing them into corners and putting a bit more pressure on and getting some chances from that, getting some joy from that early on, and it gave you a bit of hope. Obviously they did have a good start in the first half, and they did have some chances that could have gone another way. Obviously that Anderson header kind of off the line after 7 minutes probably changes the game as much as some of the other goals and things later on. So yeah, it was just such an open game, and obviously to be on the right end of all the chances, which was the main deciding factor, I guess, it just makes it an unbelievable result that I think we all remember for forever, and hopefully the turning point, like it kind of was last season, that same result away at Anfield that'll see us now get comfortably up the league, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought, Lewis, I'd be having some kind of debate where which win was better at Anfield, 1-0 last season or 3-0 this season? That's pretty nuts in itself, isn't it?
No, listen, I think when we look at it today and we look at it in isolation, going there, conversations in the week, we're potentially looking if we can get a point, if we can get a good performance and kind of try and build on something that would be really good. But I just think everything in terms of an away day, in terms of performance, when you go into a place like that, again, we all know that Liverpool aren't in their best form, but you still have to go. They've still got fantastic players. And again, I thought we started the game quite well. For the first 5 minutes, we actually started on the front foot, started really well. And then Liverpool kind of got ahead of steam. And again, you need that little bit of luck in these kind of games. And we got that, and Anderson's kind of clearance off the line. If that doesn't happen, and Liverpool were really in the ascendancy then. And it could have been a different day. But what I would say is you have to get a little bit of luck. You have to earn the right. You have to be clinical when you get the opportunities, especially away from home. Very, very clinical. And I think we did that. And I think once, I think Slot kind of mentioned it in the interview after, he felt that it was really good. But once that kind of first goal went against them, you've seen the frailties of what right now is Liverpool. And I think once that happens, the players start to then struggle. The ground and the atmosphere starts to kind of turn. And I think that's, as an away team, when you go somewhere like that, that's the first thing that you're trying to do as a player, is you're trying to get that crowd to turn and be a little bit vulnerable. I think once that happened, I think it was just kind of played into our hands, really.
Now, what was going to happen when Lou couldn't do it for literally about 30 seconds? Chris was going to do it, and amongst all the cross wires, he's logged on. So I'm going to add Chris in just for 5 minutes as the mad happy Irish fan. Chris, tell us how you're feeling.
You can hear me all right, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, unbelievable. like after last week with Ireland and all that, I started to believe that anything could happen. And I was really doom and gloom before the international break. And then obviously today, to go away to Liverpool and beat them in Anfield 3-0, I think it is better than last year, by the way. I heard you at the beginning there. I do think it is better than last year. To go and win 3-0, score 3 goals against them, I think is just absolutely, it's just mind-boggling after the start of the season we've had. And I think what's really important to note is things are starting to click into place. Morgan Gibbs-White gets his goal. We get our clean sheet. And of course, more importantly, if we can withstand those first 30 minutes of games against top teams like that today, which we did, because there was a lot of pressure those first 30 minutes, and then go on and get a goal, we can put any team under pressure. I thought we were brilliant. Yeah, I'm really excited. Great to be here for a moment, at least.
Just before I let you go, then, I mean, I've forgotten about Troy Parrott. Obviously the Irish fans haven't. As an Irish fan, you can't. Is this the best week of your life?
It's close. It's very, very close. I don't know. It might be. I mean, to have to go beat Portugal on a Thursday, then go away to Hungary and score with literally the last kick of the game after being 2-1 down with 10 minutes to go, and then going to Anfield, and everyone's expectations weren't as high, I would say, coming into this weekend. I mean, mine certainly weren't. I was expecting a draw at best, and to go and beat them 3-0. I mean, this is just brilliant. And you know what? There's loads of Liverpool fans out in Ireland as well. So I'm going to dress up in the full Forest gear, get out there and get in some ears and slag some people off. So yeah, it's one of the best weeks in football I've certainly ever had.
Do you want to stick around? Unbelievably, the live chat want you to stay.
Well, I will, but go to Dan and Lewis more than me, because I feel bad.
Keep mentioning Ireland. Every time I WhatsApp him, I get the Ireland thing thrown back at me.
Yeah, I'll stick for a bit. Yeah, for sure. If you want.
All right, you can be like Hutchinson off the bench and play a valuable supporting role, and I'll focus on Dan and do more. So then,
yeah.
Oh dear. Just looking at some of the things I've written in my notes, Dan. I mean, set piece goal, we haven't done that. Fullback to fullback goal. All this Dyche stuff has been falsely advertised, and then a sub off the bench having an impact. I mean, this is Dyche's dream game, isn't it? Just like the one last season was for Nuno.
Yeah. And the stats as well, kind of, it's even more, in some ways, it's even more of a smash and grab, even though it's 3-0, because we had even less possession this time than last season. We were just so, it just seemed like we had a perfect game plan. And I think when you did the opposition preview of the game, they were talking about like second balls and all of that. And when we could go long and put it into those dangerous areas, they just looked really poor at getting hold of those second balls, and that was kind of, I suppose a little bit what we know of how Dyche likes to play is to be direct when it works, and I think we did that. And yeah, obviously the fullback to fullback goal was really good, because I thought Williams picked him out. Like, that was a deliberate ball under pressure in that moment to completely pick him out. And Savona had started the move as well, hadn't he? He'd kind of took the ball up and put a cross in, and he hung around, which may not have done again away at Anfield. You wouldn't expect your fullbacks to do that, but he hung around and he was in the right place at the right time. So I think all round, it just looked like we had such a clear game plan and the belief and that extra bit of intensity as well. Like we talked about with the pressing and front foot, we just did seem to have more energy about us, which I know obviously Dyche has mentioned things about fitness and that side of the game. And it's kind of like you could just start to see that there was a little bit more, a few percent more in the players, I think. And it all came off. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you'll see the same kind of game again at home. It was an away performance, but it was done to a T.
Football's such a mad sport, though, isn't it? October the 2nd wasn't long ago when we lost to Midtjylland, and I would never have seen this happening. But I guess, I don't know, I guess anything can happen if you have a game plan and players who buy in. Can you, in the right circumstances?
Yeah, well, I think that's the attraction to why everyone loves this game. I think that's whatever, when we go into any stadium to support Nottingham Forest, that's what we look for. And even when potentially things have gone wrong and we're not quite that confident, you're always hoping for something to change. And in football, it can change so quickly. But I look at it today and I think if you potentially look at a man of match, I think it'll be impossible to choose. I think when you go away from home, especially against a top team, you need all your players to stand up and you need all your players to be 8, 9 out of 10. And I think every single one of them, I think Jesus up front, in terms of a number 9 to lead the line and to bring people into play and hold it, I thought he was terrific. Again, Morgan looks like he's getting back into something like we've seen. I know I've been on here a lot of times talking about his kind of end product. Well, I mean, is that 3-3 now in terms of goals? So again, he's answering them questions. Maybe that kind of omission from the England squad and where he is, and he's had that international break, chance to reset, maybe get away, and again, he's coming back now with that different performance. But I look at it all across the team, and I think it would be really difficult to pick a man of the match. And when you get these kind of results, normally every single player on that pitch has contributed significantly, and I think that was the case today.
Just before we go to a quick break, then, if I say this was the best Forest performance since, what would you say, Dan? Since when?
That's a tough one. It's a tough one because I do think it's a very specific away performance, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, you can look at some of those games like a Brighton at home where you sort of, you know, I guess that was similar in a way in that we didn't necessarily have loads of the ball and dominate it in that way. So it's a tough question that you put me on the spot with, and I'm struggling to come up with an answer. But I think as an away performance, it is probably, you know, the best away performance we've seen since that Liverpool game in terms of sticking to a game plan and then just executing it. So I think in terms of that, in terms of like dominating a game and showing a bit more to that side of it, obviously I think there'll still be more to come from that. But I mean, look, it's the best performance this season. That's for sure. We've got no question about that.
I can see a couple of shouts in the chat, Chris. Newcastle away when Wood scored a hat-trick, Brighton at home, Man City at home. I mean, I put it above all of them.
Man City at home was the one I was thinking of, was because I thought that was just such a well-rounded performance. We tired them out, and then back end hit them with the Callum Hudson-Odoi goal. But yeah, this was better than that, I'd say. But probably since we beat City at home. But yeah, I think Dan might be right. The away performance at Liverpool last year was probably as close as you get. Do you know what? Funnily enough, the Brentford performance at home was very good. I know it was against Brentford, but that was actually a great performance. It just seems like forever ago. But it was day one of the season, and I thought we were absolutely unbelievable in that game. And they're no slouches at the moment. They're doing all right. So I thought probably since the Brentford game, but because of the team we played, in my opinion, since that City game, because I thought that City performance was unbelievable as well last year. You were at that game as well, Matt. So yeah.
I think sitting here right now, it feels like the best performance since promotion to me. I don't know. Do you care to weigh in, Lou, or is it too hard to say?
Yeah, I think there's different moments in it. I think, again, like Dan said, there's different performances which have looked at there in terms of the away performance, in terms of where we are in the league, in terms of how the season's gone. I think that has a different effect as well on top of it. But again, to go away to Liverpool in any season, in any kind of state where Liverpool are, especially in the recent years, to go and not only win, to go and win 3-0 and be really efficient in how we went about it, I think it just really, really puts a positive spin on to look ahead. And hopefully this is kind of that foundation now where we can really push on. We know the ability of the players in the squad. We've obviously brought in a lot of players over the summer and it ain't quite worked. But hopefully results, you always need results to kind of help with everything that you're trying to do. And again, with Sean coming in, he'll try and put his information across. Again, he needs results along the way to kind of help that message settle in and be comfortable. And so this will be a fantastic win, but also a really, really good win for himself and his staff in terms of the message that they're continuing to try to push.
I think so. Oh, we'll postpone the break because that is an interesting point, Dan, about, I said earlier, Dyche hasn't been as advertised, has he, really? Because that sub for Hutchinson, which we might talk about more, to me shows that there is an intent to prove doubters wrong and show what he's about, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it was 2-0 at that point, wasn't it? And they'd not long brought off Konate, and they'd put sort of Gravenberch back, hadn't they, and brought on the second striker. So it was kind of like, it was a gamble of, okay, so that there should be some more space there for someone like Hutchinson and take the games to them still rather than sit off. And I think that was important because at 2-0, you still are vulnerable, aren't you, to that one goal can sort of shift the crowd and shift the momentum. So I do think it was a wise move in that respect of trying to give them something to worry about still at fullback. And obviously Hutchinson had the impact of, around the box. He is so quick and sharp with his footwork to get that space. And in a perfect sub in that respect that he had the impact. But I think overall we just seemed to keep going. Like there was a moment around that time, around 60 minutes, where it started to look a little bit like we were leggy and just dropping off. So maybe that sub just helped to, again, like I say, just try and keep the pressure off enough that we could give them something to worry about. And we did, because Jesus was still, causing all sorts of problems late on, wasn't he? Just getting ahead of players and getting on the end of things, which I think massively helped. Like just those free kicks that we were earning to take the pressure off again. And he's a candidate for man of the match for me, although he didn't get his goal just because of what the work he did. Like the first 20 minutes, I was thinking he was a bit missing in the game, and then all of a sudden he started winning the headers and started winning the battles, and it led to the first goal. And he should have had his goal, which we may or may not mention.
I think we definitely will. We'll mention all the goals. We'll get into the match action shortly, but just for that quick word for the Trent Nav, the Malmo game will be on TV, so you can enjoy that one, and we'll have more on that through the week. But just a quick reminder, Friday 12th of December, Christmas party, Take That tribute band from Boy 2. There's also the Legends of Rock event coming up, and there's Rick Parfitt Jr.'s Christmas party. So go to gigantic.com and check out all the tickets for that. Right, let's get into the goals then. Liverpool fans are going to be whining like little bitches, frankly, about this first goal. I can just see it now, relentlessly about saying that it shouldn't have stood, etc., etc. I don't think he was in the eye line, was he, Chris? When I watched the replay, I thought it was a legitimate goal to me.
No, because Murillo slammed it into the back left-hand corner of the net. Now, if it was going straight through him, or maybe he just turned as it went out of the way, maybe. But it was nowhere near the eye line. Alisson wasn't getting that either way. When that ball came across, I thought they would rule it out. Looking at one of the replays, because I was like, "Oh, here we go again. They're just going to rule out a fairly legitimate goal." But then when I saw the replay from behind the goal, I noticed it just went right in the corner. Alisson isn't even stretching for that. I don't think you can't rule that goal out. Brilliant finish, Murillo as well. Put it right in the corner. And yeah, I think it was Gibbs-White got up for it, but it came off one of the Liverpool heads. But yeah, just unreal. And no, you can't rule that out for anything. The Jesus goal, we'll talk about that in a minute. The fact that was ruled out is a joke enough as it is. But yeah, first goal completely legit, had to stand.
I think so. Over 700 people watching. Do us a favour and hit like if you haven't already. That'd be great. Just feel free to talk about that goal, Lewis, what you liked about it. But also, I know we said we can't choose man of the match, but Murillo was actually my man of the match. I thought he was unbelievable. So a general, I'm going to throw it your way, Lewis, for Murillo and that first goal.
Yeah, I think again, we all know the ability he has. We all know how good of a defender he is, but we also know the kind of technical ability, and we always. If it's going to land to any defender in them kind of positions, he's probably the one that you want it to land to. And as Chris said, like I said, it's a great finish because he's left no option for the keeper to get anywhere near it. So hopefully again, he's had a little bit of a push now, and he's back to a little bit like his old self, because he probably hasn't hit them heights he did of last year. So that's what sometimes this performance can do, even though it's one game. It can give that much of a feeling to players, and they can get that real spot back straight away. But we have to understand that we have to go and be as efficient as that, regardless of the opposition. And we have to do that week in, week out to obviously try and get this season really up and running. Yeah,
I think so. The reason I picked Murillo, I mean, so many were good players. There were so many 9 out of 10s, but just like he won headers from corners. He had the goal and the attacking stuff, which sets him apart. There was a bit in the second half where Slobozai was breaking into our box, and he just came out of nowhere and smashed it into the stand. I'm like, I absolutely love that. So, yeah, so many good performances, but just slightly Murillo for me. Let me just thank a few quick members before we go to Andy Madley's absolute disaster. Cherry Redshaw, thank you. Ellery Tunstall, thank you very much. And Robbie, thank you very much for signing up for membership, and everyone else that is a member. Really appreciate your support. Right, this podcast, Dan, we go out of our way not to batter refs. I don't think you do either. And you messaged me during the game and complaining about the ref, quite rightly. I mean, it looked like it hit his chest, didn't it? I don't know how that's happened. What did you make of it?
It's how it came about, right? So the goal went in, and he didn't call it straight away, did he? And the linesman didn't flag. And then all of a sudden he kind of blew and pointed to say it was a handball. So then you're watching the replay thinking, okay, because the initial view on the camera you can't really see, so you wait for the replay and you think maybe it has hit his hand. It doesn't look like that. And then when you see where the referee is stood like behind the players, and the ball's obviously somewhere here. So how can the referee possibly have seen that it was a handball to then make the call on the pitch that it's a handball? And I just don't get how you get to that point where the ref was then saying, yeah, it's a handball on the pitch, which then sort of changes the process for VAR, because they're then having to overrule his on the pitch decision. And it's like, yeah, but you can't possibly have seen it. So he should be, for me, just letting it play out. And if VAR decide it's a handball or get him to the screen, fair enough. But the fact he's made a decision on the pitch to call it as a handball, which then VAR feel, as we know they do, they then sort of feel under pressure not to contradict the referee as much. That's what sets it up. And that's what I just cannot understand. And I feel like he must have felt, the complaints from the players or the pressure from the crowd, or maybe the initial decision that you talked about with Odoi being in front of the keeper. Maybe that was kind of like, evening it up or something. I don't know. I just cannot understand how he's given it on the pitch to then, basically put VAR in that position where they almost feel like they don't have to overturn it because it's on the field. Is it clear and obvious and all that? But then when you watch the replay, I mean, how they've not seen that it's just not a handball and called it again. Yeah. I just cannot understand it. So it's a bit of a scandalous one, really.
No, and it could have been an absolutely pivotal moment, Chris. There's lots of scenarios there where Liverpool come back and win that game. Obviously, it hasn't happened, and we're all massively happy. But normally, I gloss over this stuff, but it was just an absolute joke.
Yeah, no, it could have been a huge moment. I mean, if we hadn't have scored early in that second half, anything could have happened from there. Liverpool could have got back into the game easily. Liverpool could have gone on and won it. That is a huge moment in the game. Just before half time, us scoring a second goal to give them a gut punch. I think Dan's bang on as well, because the thing that really gets me, and this is going to sound like a typical fan sort of thing to say, but like, these are professionals, these referees, right? But you do think in your brain, if that's Salah and it's the other end, you do actually think, yeah, they'd probably he'd be given that, and then he'd wait and see what the VAR say just in case. Like, it wouldn't. If you almost feel like they would give the benefit of the doubt to the home team, the bigger team, the superstars. And I know that's. I'm not saying it's conspiracy theory or anything. That might be nonsense, but I just felt that way. I just thought in my head, if that was down the other end, I would never ever see that goal ruled out. And yeah, I thought it was a ridiculous decision. And in all the replays, I don't even really think it hit his arm. I mean, the amount of handballs I've seen recently not been called for penalties or not been called for free kicks either way, and this is just the softest decision ever. So yeah, I don't know. That's my thing about it, is when you see it again, you do think in your brain, hang on, if this is down the other end, are they giving that as a goal? Probably.
Just the psychology of the moment as well, Lewis, from the player's point of view. I mean, I don't know if the players knew at halftime that it should have stood or not, but they could have gone under there. To go on and play like that is massively to their credit, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think if we look at it where football has gone and why potentially VAR was introduced, it was these kind of moments what can swing a game so and change the whole landscape of it. And that's where we are today. We hope for them decisions. I think Dan's right again. I think if you look at it, they don't want to look like they're overturning the referee. I think if the on-field decision was different, I think you'll have a different outcome. But again, I think when you look at their moments, you can go in. What I would say is the second goal and the timing of it was massive, because again, the momentum that they're going to come out and try and build, you just, in terms of getting the crowd up, you just kind of killed that straight away. So not only when you kind of go and score goals, but it's the timing of them and what they can do to not only the team but also the atmosphere. And that was a really, really pivotal kind of timing of the second goal.
Incredible second goal, Dan. Fullback to fullback. I know, like, Savona, he was tested by Gakpo in the first half, and but he does have something about him. He's got a weird X factor about him. But to score that goal at Anfield, fullback to fullback, I mean, it's the stuff we dream of, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they came out a bit slow, didn't they? That first couple of minutes of the second half, they were definitely slow to get to things, and we took advantage of it. Savona, like I say, stepped up. Didn't step up much in the game, but that's the only time I can really remember him like having any time on the ball in the final third. And it just felt like Liverpool came out and weren't actually that up for it for those first couple of minutes. And we took advantage, and he does have that knack. And I think I remember when we signed him and you watched his highlights at Juventus, he had that knack of arriving late into the box to get on headers and things like that. It's definitely something he's got to his game. You know, he can have a quiet game in possession and he can play sometimes quite safe with the ball, I think. But he has definitely got that knack of hanging around the box, and obviously he's got the physicality to, you know, cause a bit of problems as a fullback that not every fullback has. But like I say, I think the key was that ball from Williams, because he doesn't panic, he doesn't just hammer it across. He definitely picks him out there. And the likes of Sangare wasn't far behind either. I noticed on the replay, you know, again, Sangare popped up last time against Leeds with a goal on the edge of the box, which we haven't seen him do much of, and he wasn't too far behind the ball either. And we were definitely, you know, again, taking the game to them in a way which we didn't when we obviously beat them 1-0 last season. We did that straight from the off, and like Lewis says, the timing of that goal was absolutely perfect, because it basically meant that obviously the decision with the ref and all that, you know, it didn't build in terms of frustration for us. It kind of just put us right back to where we'd have been anyway.
Yeah, and we'll have to just a word for Nico, Lewis. Again, I mean, just outstanding. I think he had 7 tackles first half. I think they were all on Salah. I know Salah might be a bit of a fading force, but once again, that kind of performance against still, I think, the best winger in the Premier League. I mean, you just can't say enough about him, can you?
Yeah, I think he's took his game to a new level, and the big thing about it is the consistency of kind of week in, week out, top defensive performance coming up against wingers in the Premier League that are all on their day going to be really good kind of tests. So I think it's really, really good that we've got him in this form. Again, you look at now Savona and coming into the team, and he looks like he's getting stronger. Obviously, Aylmer coming back soon. So you look in them positions where potentially once looked at it and thought we're a little bit weak. I think we're in a really good place.
I just want to go back to one instant that I'll go to Dan, because we were talking about it before the game. A few people mentioning about the challenge on Sangare and the subsequent penalty appeal, but mostly the challenge on Sangare. We've seen stills of it that look bad. Is it one of them where the still looks bad, the video replay maybe doesn't look quite as bad, or should there have been more action taken?
No, I think it's the still. The still looks worse. When you saw it in the first replay in real time, it didn't look like a dangerous challenge or anything that I was thinking it should be upgraded to a red. It's just one of those tackles where he does follow through, and maybe he does have time to pull out a little bit more than he does, but I don't think it's deliberate in any way, and I think it is just the still, because it's high, it looks worse than it is. And you know what? There's a slight shout for the penalty on it, because I do think Kirkes is a bit clumsy on the back of Sangare for that one, but probably not enough to feel like that was an injustice. But it was, again, that was good play from Sangare, and again, we were front foot to win that ball back on the edge of their area and actually create that chance.
Yeah, and you'll have probably been on the end of one or two of those, Lou. Did you see anything in it from Gravenberch or not?
No, I think it's, like I said, it's these things in the game. There's going to be so many of them decisions that you look at it. If it was the other way around, what would your opinion be and the kind of perception of it? So I think what we have to look at today, we've been on the end of a decision what really could have possibly cost us. And unfortunate for us, the players have kind of gone out there and made sure that isn't as big of a talking point as it should be.
Let's talk about the third goal then, which is a great talking point. Amari Hutchinson. I know, Dan, you went on about, Dylan Bakvar and Dan Odoi. It was me saying sign on Amari Hutchinson, so I'm going to take all the credit right now. He came off the bench again, Chris, and I mean, he didn't do a huge amount, but he's just a really bright moment, and he's registered another assist. Again, full credit Dyche for bringing him on, but Hutchinson's really stepping up again.
Yeah, unbelievable. And look, I my predictions are dreadful for the most part, but I remember the player I asked to sign before the season started was Hutchinson, was one of them. So I'll take a bit of credit as well. I'll take a bit of credit as well. No, it's nothing to do with me. I'm just a guy with no hair talking about Forest. But anyway, look, he's brilliant when he comes on, and he the thing is, he's a game changer. And I think Dan mentioned it earlier on. The fact that the timing of the substitute was so interesting, because you'd think, gosh, like we're 2-0 up here, we're doing well. But Dan mentioned we looked a bit leggy, and that Hutchinson change kind of made a bit of a difference as well. And he just looked like a really bright spark. But to cut inside, he should have probably had the goal. Really, it was a decent effort actually, and a good save, smart save. But unreal from Hutchinson to create that kind of chance. And like, gosh, if we get through to the last 16 and he's still playing like this, we really do want him. We really do want him in that Europa League squad after Christmas. So yeah, I thought he was really good today. And the goal, the finish, and I know we're going to talk about this, but the finish from Gibbs-White is really smart too. As Lewis said, that's 3 goals now in 3 Premier League games. Every finish has been good. The first header, superb against Man United. The other header against Leeds was a lovely deft touch in the corner and a great run. And then that finish there was with his left foot, bottom left of Alisson, bottom right corner, like just really, really top.
Here's the other half of the recruitment cartel riding to Dan's rescue in Pete Blackburn. So you are doing very well, Dan, just to blow some smoke up your ass. On Gibbs-White then, Lewis, you spoke about him. I mean, the only thing I would say about him is please stop taking free kicks, because you're not Lewis McGugan, but is everything else he's really delivering. And that was, I don't know, just talk about Lewis McGugan. I'm not doing a very good job hosting this show, but talk about Lewis McGugan. Lewis McGugan, talk about more Gibbs-White.
I think when you look at Morgan, I think again he had a bit of a message in terms of after Dyche's first game, which I think was a bit of a statement in terms of potentially how he was feeling. I think the England international, when he was going, he wasn't really getting a lot of game time, but he was still involved in them. Potentially, was that doing him? Was that helping him? So this international break, he's probably had a chance to kind of take a little rest, have a little kind of reset button, which sometimes you need as a player. And also, like I said, new managers come in and new coaching staff come in, and that's where sometimes from the outside, people think managers make massive difference, and they do, but it's the coaching staff are really, really important. They're the ones that day in, day out are going to be speaking with the players. And sometimes you can have a coach that you really take to, spends a little bit more time with you, gets that understanding, and that could be the spark sometimes. So we don't know where that change has come from, but there's definitely been a change. We've always spoke about, again, can he add goals? And he's answering that in full effect at the minute. I still think he's got so many levels to go. And hopefully this is, again, like a lot of them, a springboard to where he can really go and affect this season and take us up the table.
So have you had a time in your career when things aren't going well, fans are on your back, and then something changes and you score 3 and 4? Is there any reason for it, or from your experience, or not?
I've had quite a few of them times. But yeah, and sometimes it could just be, sometimes you try stuff. And I think he went through a stage over the last few months where I was watching games, and even when he was trying the most simplest things, it wasn't coming off. And then what happens is he just continues to get himself maybe in a headspace where then he tries to overcomplicate things because he's potentially struggling. And it just kind of comes in a full circle where the goals help. The goals definitely help, because being in that position, that's what we expect. He needs to go and make an impact on the score sheet. But I think, again, maybe the manager's simplicity, what he's asking of him. We don't know what Dyche is asking him, different to maybe Ange or Nuno before that. But if you look at him, he's in a lot better place. Looks sharper. He did a turn in the first half, just as he kind of got away before he brought down, and that is what you want from your number 10. But he looked sharp. He was away from players, and he had that kind of acceleration to push off again. Listen, I think he's a fantastic player, but I also feel that he's got so much more potential to give, and sometimes them players in there will be under a harsher critic, because I think we all know how much ability he has.
And thank you very much for being a member for 5 months. And you're right, that resolution of the video was absolutely terrible. And I hope at Stockley Park it was better, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't. Just sticking with Morgan for one more, Dan, as well. When Lou spoke about the focus on him is always heightened, sometimes because he does the flicks and tricks, because he's got the talent, they don't come off. I think the only one I can recall him doing in this one was at 3-0, a little back heel to Anderson. He actually didn't need to do it all. And is that the kind of performance you want from Morgan? Cut the flicks and tricks out until you've earned the right to do them, or do you still want to see him just go all out?
I think you still need him to go all out. I think part of it in a game like that is that because we don't have as much of the ball, I think he's almost got less time to think about some of it, and it becomes back to what he was really good at for us when we didn't have as much possession. And I think the change this season when under Ange was he was probably just having more of the ball, and if you like, just having to do a bit more with it, and that therefore I guess you probably are going to make more mistakes if you're the guy who's got to make things happen creatively. Whereas in this kind of game, he only got a few opportunities to really drive into space or get a touch away from someone. And so as long as he gets 4 out of 5 right, he's going to look good, I think, because the chances are it's going to spark something for you when Liverpool are pushing on. And there was one in particular in the middle where he took a couple of touches and somehow got away from him. And I thought that was a brilliant moment. And I didn't remember getting frustrated with him. I suppose I sometimes struggle to remember the specifics, but you feel like you can be frustrated with a player, and I don't remember being frustrated with him at all. And it was interesting. He was again tracking back, and he was filling in spaces on the right. And once Hutchinson came on, I felt he was pulling over to Hutchinson's side a bit more as like a second kind of help in that respect, because I guess probably would still have a few doubts on Hutchinson defensively. So I think Gibbs-White was adapting to that as well. Overall, yeah, good performance, and is like Chris said, his finish was great for his goal as well. Underrated that potentially.
I don't know. You mentioned this Ange guy. I don't know who you're talking about there. That's gone from my memory. Sorry if there was someone called Ange.
Sorry.
Just one on the press was Lou, from a tactical point of view. There was just one moment I think in the first half where they just played it through Jesus and Morgan, and then Gravenberch ran at us and it ran to a chance. But I don't recall any lack of discipline in our press and our setup without the ball. I mean, we saw it with Nuno last season. It's so hard to execute those, isn't it? You've got to be spot on, and today we were.
Yeah, I think if you look at it from a tactical point of view, again, you can have, as a coach, as a manager, you can feel that you're super prepared. You can have all them ideas, and sometimes, again, like you said, you need a little bit of luck. You need players to potentially not be the opposition, not to be quite at it. And from the start, I look at it. I know a lot of people in terms of Hutchinson's performance before. Against Leeds when he came on, potentially was going to start. I looked at it settled with Dominguez off the left, and I thought, okay, potentially you may look at it and swap sides and having and Doy is the out and out winger, only because Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones kind of pushed in, and what Liverpool did, they kind of make a back three, and they kind of cheat when they have the ball, so it kind of turns into a back three. But Konate ends up then becoming kind of that right back into that right channel. So when that ball kind of breaks down on transition, if you can potentially have an out-and-out winger, more of an Odoi that can go against Konate in them areas, that's the last place that he wants to be. So, but again, I looked at it from that point of view, and that was an area that I thought we could potentially get at Liverpool in terms of the original setup. But say we scored goals at the right time, and we was efficient in what we did. And I think you can sit here and kind of nitpick it at tactical. You could have done this, you could have done that, but I think all in all, little things have to go your way, which they did, and you have to be really kind of efficient when you get the opportunity, and we did that.
Just before we turn our attention to the week ahead, then, and I will ask for man of the match. Lewis has already abstained from that, but I'll ask the other guys for man of the match. Quick word of thanks for Nottingham Window Company. If you're looking for new windows or new doors across the East Midlands, get in touch with them. I can't find the video. There it is. Yeah, click the link in the description if you're looking for new windows or new doors in this winter. Nottingham Window Company are the people for you, and thanks very much for their support of this podcast as always. Right, I've already said Murillo. Lewis has said he can't pick, although I'll give him another chance if he wants one. But Dan, man of the match for you, if anyone.
I think realistically probably Murillo, but I would, for something different, I would give the shout to Jesus, because I just think he just did enough in the game, that in the key moments that helped us get the goals, if you know what I mean. Like certainly the first one, like I say, initially that first 20 minutes or so, I thought he wasn't getting close enough to the centre-backs to pick up the balls and help us get up the pitch. And then for that first goal he did, he linked up with Gibbs-White well, and that obviously won us the corner to get the goal. And later on he was getting ahead of the defenders, like I said, to get the free kicks and stuff, which just kept us getting away from our goal enough. So I think he definitely was the other guy that probably stood out in terms of not having loads of touches, not having loads of involvement, but when he was needed, it definitely helped us get the goals in obviously this kind of game where you're not going to have a lot of the ball. Yeah,
so many worthy contenders, and he's definitely. I thought that Pete said Pete said, "Can I give a word of credit to Jesus in the WhatsApp group? Not in a religious way, just in a he was very good way." So yeah, Jesus was class. Chris, anyone for you?
Yeah, like Murillo was my one. There was a moment in the first half where he shrugged off, won a ball back, shrugged off one of the midfielders, and then took a shot from distance, and Alisson saved it nicely. But I thought he was just up for it today, and that moment sort of typified the rest of the game, all his blocks and stuff, and obviously the goal. But if it was given someone else, I would probably say Nico. I mean, he's going back to Liverpool. That's the club he was brought up in the academy and stuff, and just like that first half against Salah, as he said, he was just unbelievable. And then obviously the assist for the goal for Savona, fullback to fullback. So Murillo for me, but Nico would be close second.
Pete said, "Can I just shout out Jesus just in general?" So that's what he said in the WhatsApp group. Right, Lou, I'll give you another crack, or you just can abstain and say we should move on. You can't pick a man of the match.
No, it's really like Murillo. I thought they was all fantastic. Murillo defensively, the team was really good. But I look at Jesus and I think when you go away from home, you're number 9 leading the line. He has to have a really good game. He has to hold the ball up. He has to be strong. He has to get fouled, especially when you start to be under the cosh a little bit to allow your team to get out. You need your striker to be really strong and lead that line. And I felt he did that really, really well against when we probably talk about one of the best, if not the best centre halves in the league in terms of Virgil van Dijk. So for me, I'd probably say and on another day he should have had his goal as well. So I'll probably give it him.
Excellent, good shouts all right. I saw there was a stat as well. Milenkovic had 4 blocks, all this is from Will WT Analysis. 4 blocks, all from 12 yards or less on the shot. So he was brilliant. So many were brilliant. Igor Jesus was the most fouled player today on the pitch, so he really helped get us up the pitch and did a great job. Right, bigger picture then, Chris. I mean, we're at the relegation zone, which is worth mentioning. I just can't worry about this team getting relegated right now. Maybe worse days are ahead. I'm getting carried away, but we just feel in a much better place with some, interesting games to come and a European match on Thursday. So how are you feeling about it all right now?
So much better. I mean, I was, Dan, and you will know, I was doom and gloom before the Leeds game, thinking we're just like
you were doom and gloom for every game. We must. I'll out you now because you said I.
No, hang on. No, don't out me just yet. Don't out me just yet.
I'll out you after.
I'll out myself. Right. I thought before the Leeds game there was a big chance that we would go down. I did before the Leeds game. We were miles off it. I thought there was a big chance, and I was very worried. But I also said we'd win the Europa League. So 2 opposites, right? So I'll admit that. But since the Ireland game, like I said, there's been miracles in my mind happening, thinking, gosh, anything can happen. And I did message you before this game. It's just, as a football fan, it is mad because I was at that Michelin game a month ago or whatever it was. And it was just dreadful. It was just dreadful from start to finish. And you're sort of down and out. And then you go and lose another string of games without scoring a goal. And then Ange goes and you beat Porto straight away. And it all sort of turns around. And I'm feeling really good about the next few weeks. I'm feeling really good about Europe all of a sudden again. And the reason why is because Sean Dyche, and I think that we didn't really mention him about the game today. And I know someone put man of the match Sean Dyche today. I think maybe we ought to give it to him because he's gone away on an international break and he's worked really hard with the team and he's come back and produced that kind of performance and tactical nous. The set piece defending today was unbelievable. It's so much better. That first half, all those corners they had and the pressure they put us under. And also just the way he set up today. So yeah, I'm feeling great again, mainly because since Dyche has come in, we've only lost that 1 game against Bournemouth and we've gone and beaten Liverpool away and beaten Porto, who are undefeated at home. And now we go into Malmo with our tails up. So yeah, bigger picture, I feel great. And yes, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was down and out, but that's the life of a Forest fan.
You said, I do think we're probably gone, though. I replied,
he's reading
FFS, we played 10 games. So I'm
it's a private WhatsApp message.
Yeah.
It's
I told you I was going to do it, so you've got no recourse.
Yeah. Well, I did say that we win the Europa League, and I stand by that. So there you go. All
right. Well, you can be right about that as well, and wrong about relegation. Dan, how are you feeling about it all?
Well, Chris will know I've not necessarily been fully convinced on Dyche. As an appointment, I felt like I didn't think it would be this good. I thought it was going to be a little bit slower for us to get going. I thought he was definitely going to be obviously a improvement on what we were doing under Ange, but I think I was just still mourning for the loss of Nuno from our from our managerial position, and it took me a while to get on board. And it's kind of like results like this obviously give you massive hope that we have got the quality, that he's getting the basics right. I think that is still the key. Is the basics are just there, and I think it's those with the extra bit of quality we've now got in the squad that means that these kind of results are possible. Before this game, I guess this game, not a free hit, but it's one of those games where it doesn't define what's going to happen. So I always thought that the Brighton and Everton games that are coming up are probably the two that will give us a good benchmark of where we are, because they're the kind of games that are in that mid-table mix. If we can start to consistently get those results, as well as obviously the sides further down the table, then we become comfortable. So this is a massive, great surprise, and I'm definitely slowly getting converted to Dyche ball. And I think if we can follow this up with a couple more wins in the near future, then I think it really will settle us down.
Thank you very much to Jack. Lewis didn't score today, but yeah, he scored a few decent goals, so I'd happily put that up on the screen. How are you feeling about it all then, Lou? Give us your thoughts on where we're at as a club right now.
No, I think Dan's spot on. I think if you look at it, again, today was terrific for everyone connected to the football club. I think it's a fantastic result, really good away performance, but And I'm sure the manager and the staff and the players were thinking, let's go and take care of kind of Brighton and Everton and them kind of games. And they're the ones where we need to really go and be efficient. And I think if we can really have a good next 6 weeks in terms of points, I think we're in a really, really strong place to then go into January. And again, hopefully the manager might look at it and want to put his little kind of touch on the squad, and that might be ins and outs, but we'll wait and see. But let's hopefully to go into that window in a lot better place with more points on the board and definitely this feel good factor that we're feeling today for a larger parts.
Yeah, I mean, I know I gave you some stick there, Chris, but it has been a really tough season, and it probably still will be at times. But you have to enjoy days like this, don't you? Because they are so rare, and they mean so much more when it's been so bad for stretches this season. So we have to enjoy it, don't we?
Yeah, you have to. And it's just the media attention as well. Like, since the start of the season, 3 games in, Nuno's gone. You have Ange come in. The media's attention's all on him. It couldn't have gone worse. And then, you're out of the League Cup immediately to Swansea. You're losing those first couple or you draw Betis, but you're down and out against Midtjylland, and you're thinking maybe we won't even qualify for the playoffs at this stage in the Europa League. And then the Premier League, we tumble down to 19th, and you're kind of like, gosh, this is like, it really was, looking doom and gloom on all fronts. And I suppose the thing that as fans, I'm sure Lewis and Dan will probably back me up here. As fans, we looked at this team at the start of the season and went, this is a really good squad. It's a team that finished 7th last year, and we've added really good quality players to the squad. So no one could really give an explanation as to why everything was kind of going, to shit. So that's the thing that gets it to me, is we couldn't really understand what was going on. And then Ange came in and it made it worse. And now I suppose Dyche has given us that lift, and he's done everything right since he's come in, and he's done everything right with the fan base, the community, with the team. He's gone back to basics. And I think that's kind of what we needed. We needed to sort of level our heads out a little bit and come back down to earth and play the Forest way. And yeah, it's as a fan, you have to enjoy nights like tonight, and we'll enjoy Thursday as well, because that's a hark back to the 70s game, 1979 Malmo, and it's history. So yeah, look, we have to enjoy it. Have to enjoy this moment.
Do you think there'll be that feeling in the dressing room, Lewis? Players will look around like we do as fans and think, well, hang on, there's really good players here. Whatever's gone wrong, we can still turn it around, and they'll look around and hopefully see quality in the man next to them from now on.
Yeah, of course. They know the individual quality that they have. They know potentially that it needs to be better to come as a team. But as we know, there's a lot of teams that have had really good players and it just don't quite click, and they can struggle. So even though they have got really good players individually, they have to work together and see what, with the manager and with his ideas, how do we make this tick as a team so we can go and be efficient and collect points in the league. And I think if you look at it now, is the manager really starting to have an idea of who the players that he's going to kind of go in with longer term. Potentially, you look at the ones on the bench, don't see a lot of minutes, even though it's early. Maybe he's already looking at potentially trying to move them on maybe in January. But again, that's a long way away again. But I think from a player's point of view, and more importantly, from a fan's point of view, we've just got to really enjoy this result, enjoy this evening, and really kind of take that atmosphere into the next games and really get behind this team. And hopefully this is the springboard to really exciting things again.
Absolutely. That's a good topic of conversation for Monday at 9:30 with Pete Temps and James Perch. Does Dyche know how his squad's shaping up? So we'll pick up on that. But do us a favour and hit like and hit subscribe if you haven't already. That'd be great. A lovely 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. Dan, thank you very much. You feel free to add any final words because the other two had an extra question. So if there's anyone you add, you can. Otherwise, I'll just say thank you.
The only the moment I'd mention is that bit from Anderson under pressure in the first half. Do you remember that at all? Like 19 minutes in, Elliot Anderson had like 2 Liverpool players on his back.
Oh, in the corner,
somehow,
in our corner.
Yeah, and somehow I just find him amazing because he's 22, 23 away at Anfield, and he's just so good at those little moments of and he comes out with the ball. Somehow he keeps possession, and he's unbelievable at that kind of side of the game. So I thought he needs a shout out for that. And no, that's pretty much it from me. Just what a game, what a result, and I'll be there on Thursday for the European game. And if we can, get a win there, all of a sudden, everything seems to be pretty much, in a reasonable place for where we'd like to be at this point of the season, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he's another topic of conversation. I think he's the best player I've ever seen for Forest. So in person, just unbelievable. I didn't see much of Collymore, and I didn't see any of Keane and a bit of Pearce. But as a regular fan, just Anderson is unbelievable. Chris Aylmer, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me in, and I'm sorry to Lewis and Dan for jumping in last minute. I probably should have stayed out, but I appreciate you guys having me in. And yeah, great, unbelievable result today. And yeah, just gosh, there's not much else to say. Oh, it's the Malmo game on Thursday. Real quick shout out. There's a Dublin pub down the road. Forest fans and manager for the Eagle in Glasstool. If anyone's around, just come along because we've got a table and some beer. So yeah, just quick shout out to that. And shout out to Lewis as well. There's someone in the comments who has mentioned your free kick about 50 times. So shout out to you, Lewis. He keeps going on about your amazing free kick against Ipswich that time. And it's imprinted in my brain. So fair play to you.
I forgot to say before I go to Lou, what's your review of the Football Content Awards, Dan, since you were there on Thursday?
Well, it's about the same as that refereeing decision today. I think there's some controversy there. Definitely that the podcast that one happened to be the same place that it was being held, even though they're not even a Premier League podcast for that long. So, there's question marks there, definitely. But other than that, the actual night was good. It was good to obviously have a night out with you guys, and that's my last 2 hangovers have been related to this podcast because Chris was responsible for the previous one a month or so ago, and then Pete and Mikey and yourself responsible for one this weekend. So I'll have to be careful who I hang around with, I think.
Yeah, we might elaborate a little bit more on the Football Content Awards on Monday. We did meet the man you hair chap. That was true. He was a nice guy. That was a high point. The low point was indeed losing to a Leeds podcast when they were not a Premier League team for 2 seasons. So they were the window for them to beat us was about 2 months. So I think that might be my end of my association with these awards. And the definite end was when a woman was asked by a drunk Pete to guess my age. And I am 43. And she said I look 56. So that was the end of my evening, I think. I should have had a few more drinks after that. But that was pretty dire. Lewis McGugan, thank you very much.
No. Anytime, my pleasure, and I'm glad that I finally done a post-match with smiles on our faces. So no, anytime.
Yeah, even being told I look 56 couldn't ruin today. Right, thanks very much, everyone. As mentioned, do join us on Monday, 9:30 a.m. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy this result. How can you not? If we don't see you on Monday, we shall see you soon.